Okay, so today we're going to do a quick first impressions video of the brand new 64 audio Volur IEM. Joshua Volur. Now, this is a demo unit sent over by 64 Audio for me to check out. I do not get to keep these, and I have not been paid to say anything in particular about them, and all thoughts and opinions here are my own. So, with that out of the way, let's take a look at the Volur. It's got the two dots above the U, so you have to say it that way. Otherwise known as an umlaut, for those who are unaware of what that is, and it has the effect of going So what is this? Well, I'm told that this is meant to be the follow-up to the 64 Audio Neo, which is a very beloved IEM that satisfies a lot of bass heads. People who are into bass, they love that IEM, and so this is like the sequel to that. I think that's how we're supposed to think about it. But I will leave the price up on the screen here along with the configuration. I am coming at this a little bit cold. I don't know anything about this. This was just sort of handed to me, and you know, because I'm a review pig, I was just told to review it. And I don't care if you don't like that term. I'm going to use it. Now, as usual with these first impression type videos, I'm going to be listening to it and letting you know how it sounds to me before doing the measurements, and then we'll do the measurements afterwards. But just so you guys are aware, if you're looking for the measurements on these, if I've done them by the time that this video is out, which maybe, those will be linked in the description to a forum thread where you can check them out. But what you're going to see here isn't going to include the measurements. That's for the full reviews of these products. So let's take a look at the Volur here. Right away from the packaging, you can see that the shell design seems to be more of like a purpley color. The Neo had kind of more like a bluish greenish thing going on. So they've gone in a slightly different direction, and it tells us on the back that it's using a bunch of different technologies: Apex, TIA, and then Lid. This is their linear impedance design, which is nice if you're plugging it into different types of devices that have different output impedances. And it also has true, whatever that means. It's nice that it's true though. And I like this kind of blown up schematic going on here of the IEM. I think that's kind of cool. But let us get rid of this sleeve and throw it in the appropriate place. You get this nice box here. And, you know, for those who care about the unboxing experience, which I typically don't, ooh, you get a bunch of different tips here, and then you get the IEMs right here, and this is going to be the case. I do like the way that this looks. Wow, okay. This is much nicer looking than I thought it would be. This, when you look at it, because of the way that the light kind of reflects off the surface here. I like the way that the Neo shell looked, like with the faceplate. I actually kind of like this better. And this is coming from someone who strongly hates the color purple. Like if I could just delete any color, purple would be high on that list. And seeing this, it makes me kind of knock it down a couple of pegs there. Hear, feel, and create is their motto that they put on the puck here. Let me just take these out of the case. You get some 64 Audio stickers, right? If you're a real fan of 64 Audio. And then you get the cable, you get the clip, and then you get a little cleaning stick here. It's pretty standard fare as far as what you get. For the cable, let's take a look at that. So they have, in recent times, improved their cables. They used to be quite stiff. I actually somewhere still have one of their old original cables. But these are significantly better feeling. I'm not going to say they feel the most premium out of all IEMs out there, but they do feel nice. Another thing is that the Y-splitter here is quite small. And I know there's like Y-splitters out there that are massive, and I'll never understand why people want their Y-splitters to be huge. Although now that I think about it, it's probably because for many of these like crazy high-end IEMs, people treat them kind of like jewelry, you know? And so it's part of that. Yeah, this looks fantastic. And it has seemingly the same shell that 64 Audio tends to use for all their IEMs, and that's a good thing in my opinion. I find them to be very comfortable, and these are not too large, right? They're actually on the smaller side these days when you compare them to the size of other flagship IEMs, like, you know, the Empire Ears ones that I just was checking out recently are almost twice the size of this. I believe what's in here is the M15 module. Oh, and there's a bronze module as well, so I'll need to test that. So there's now 4 different modules. There's the one that's in here, and there's silver, bronze, and black. All right, so now they are in my ears. No issues with comfort or fit. As usual, I'm very used to these, the 64 Audio designs. It's very comfortable for me. I'm going to give them a listen now. And just so you guys are aware of what I'm running them from, this is just a basic desktop amplifier setup with the LAQXD1 and the THX AAA1 going on here. So it's a very modest setup, but it is a desktop setup. Okay, let's find some tunes and get some first impressions. But just before I do, I want to remind you guys once again that we now have merch up on headphones.com. One of the cool things available there is this t-shirt. Not this exact one, that'd be weird. But it is one like this. I'm going to use a go-to track that I've been listening to recently just to test stuff out. Trinity by Snarky Puppy. Alright, so there's a moment in this track, kind of early on, where you hear kind of like the bass drum come in, and it has this really satisfying thump and thud to it. And that comes through with a ton of authority already. So I can already tell this is going to be a lot of fun. Definitely sub-bass elevated. For this track, these are incredible. That is very satisfying. Let me find something with vocals, because I always find vocals are a good way to tell if something is too, weird or wacky, or too far from normal. And I look for normal in all things. Okay, we're gonna go with some Molly Johnson here. This is a jazz track that I like to use sometimes. Oh yeah, this is definitely bassy. When you hear the upright double bass kind of coming through, it's dominating for sure. And then it has that upper treble emphasis as well. Alright, for this track, these didn't do quite so well at all. And I think it's because with this type of jazz, with like an upright double bass that's really strong already in the mix, the bass on these is just too much. It sort of drowns out and muffles a lot of the clarity. But one thing I did notice right away as well, though, is that the percussive hits, the upper treble, the air frequencies, so 12K and above, is definitely present, and I would say even a little forward. So for folks who like that kind of like U-shaped kind of sound signature, I think this has that. What I'm thinking already is that it might be the case that with one of the different modules, it might be more appropriate for this kind of music. All right, Portugal the Man. Everyone likes Portugal the Man, right? There's no sibilance for the treble, though. Like, it's interesting. Okay, so the way that the treble is sort of shaped or voiced, it sounds like, the upper edges of the S's, F's, and T's is emphasized over the mid sections of those tones or the lower sections of those tones. And if there's going to be a treble emphasis, I think that's the way to do it. I much prefer that. But there is also something in the treble that is a little bit uneven sounding to me. But again, it could also just be this recording. So we'll see. Let's listen to some Catatonia. Let's see how it does with Catatonia. Oh. So it's surprisingly nice. There's definitely some unevenness going on in the upper mids. And then, yeah, zingy in the upper treble. But powerful. Holy crap. I don't know if this would be my first choice for Catatonia, but it does reasonably well for this. Alright, so first impressions is that this is definitely, once again, all about the bass. The rest of it does have some strengths, but I'm going to say right now this does not sound neutral or linear or anything like that. Like if people are chasing that, that's not what this is about. This, I think, is more about a little bit of that flavor, maybe that U-shaped kind of character that the 64 audio IEMs tend to be known for. It's also definitely on the warmer side of things, except for that upper treble. It's over here, you would see it, which is a little bit on the zingy side, but it does impart this extra kind of like attention grabbing element to, percussive hits and things like that. But I'm also going to now try it with some of these other modules here and see how things change. And for the modules, they basically affect the bass. They also affect the pressure, I'm told. But it's one of the cool things with these 64 audio IEMs is that you can get a whole bunch of different tunings in one product with these different modules. So if you prefer a bassier sound signature, you can use the bassiest module. I believe that was the M20 module. And then they also have the less bass one, which I think is called the MX module. So right now I have in here the silver one. Let's give that a shot. Silver one doesn't sound that different. All right, maybe a little bit more bass. Not massive though. It's like pretty subtle. If I had to guess, I'd say the silver ones and then the gray ones are pretty close for their overall bass level. All right, so the black ones here. Let's give these a listen. If I remember correctly, these are the MX. Yeah, it's way less bass. The black ones are not my preference for this IEM. I feel it kind of robs it of some of that fun character that it has. And again, this one doesn't seem to be going after that like strict neutrality kind of thing. You know, it does not, like there's definitely some coloration going on there in the upper mids and in the treble as well. So having that bass, you know, presence from the other modules, I think is probably the way to go. All right, let's try the bronze ones here. And I don't know anything about these ones, so let's listen. That's definitely more bass than the black ones. It's about right for me. I just listened to the same song like 3 times with the 3 different, or 4 times now with the different modules, and yeah, these bronze ones, they sound like they're in between the gray and the silver one and the black one. So it's like black is the least bass, then the bronze ones, then the silver ones. Sorry, the gray ones, then the silver ones. That's what I believe it to be. So right away, I'm going to say this one isn't exactly for me, but it does have, you know, that bass, you know, character and that impact. And I would say the technicalities or the detail here for that experience, it's on point. This is actually very good. And I also like the way that the lower mids are handled on this one. They come through with a lot of clarity there. You know, for me these days, I look for stuff that's, you know, basically even keel and normal and neutral. And I don't think that's what this IEM is doing. It's not really what the Neo did either. It's not what the U12T does. And I think if you really liked the Neo or were interested in the Neo, this is just a similar one to that. But I will also say that the sense of technicalities and the subjective qualities here are very good. This is better than what I was actually expecting, because if I remember correctly, the Neo didn't really wow me in that regard. Like I did think the U12T was like a little better there, but they're also quite similar too. But if you are a bass head and you love the Neo, or if you prefer the Neo, this is worth consideration, because this does sound to me like it has actually more resolution. And it might just be a function of it having more of that upper treble. But again, auditory memory is crap. I don't have a Neo here right now to compare with. So you'll just have to wait for the full review. As usual, make sure you guys are well informed before making a purchase. Do not make a purchase decision off of this video here. And for the measurements, once again, those are linked in the forum thread down below. And of course, join us on Discord. That's where you can chat with me and you can tell me that I'm wrong about all the various different things. And you can also chat with other like-minded audio folks. Now, until next time, I'll see you guys later.